If you look at a map of New York State, right where the northern edge meets the vast expanse of Lake Ontario, you'll find a city defined by rushing water and constant reinvention. This is Rochester. Locals know it by two names that sound the same but mean very different things. First, it was the Flour City, named for the wheat they ground in the mills. Later, it became the Flower City, named for the blooms that filled its nurseries. But whether you're talking about baking or gardening, the story of this town is about things taking root and growing in unexpected ways. The story really begins about 13,000 years ago. As the last ice age ended, massive glaciers retreated across the landscape like nature's own heavy machinery, carving out the Genesee River valley. The river didn't just flow, it roared, dropping over 3 distinct, thundering waterfalls. Long before surveyors arrived, this fertile land was the home of the Seneca people, the keepers of the western door of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy. They built longhouses and cultivated the Three Sisters corn, beans, and squash in areas we now know as Corn Hill. But the 1600s brought a collision of worlds. The fur trade sparked the Beaver Wars, drawing the Seneca into conflicts with French and British powers. By the time the dust settled on the American Revolution, the political landscape had shifted entirely, leading to land sales that opened the door for heavy European settlement. In 1803, a Revolutionary War veteran named Nathaniel Rochester, along with 2 partners from Maryland, took a gamble on a 100-acre tract of swampy land near the High Falls. They saw potential in that falling water. Nathaniel laid out a grid including what is now Main Street West, but the real game changer was a wild engineering project known as the Erie Canal at the time. Digging a waterway from Albany to Buffalo with just shovels and animals seemed impossible. Yet, by the 1820s, the canal was here, crossing the Genesee River on a massive stone aqueduct, literally a bridge made of water carrying boats over a river. Suddenly, Rochesterville, as it was first called, wasn't just a village. It was America's first boomtown. It became the young, energetic seat of Monroe County. The combination of the canal's shipping power and the river's hydropower turned the settlement into a milling juggernaut. They were shipping out hundreds of thousands of barrels of wheat flour, earning that first nickname, the Flour City. It was chaotic, loud, and vibrant. It was dubbed the Young Lion of the West. By 1834, Rochester was officially a city, boasting a population bigger than Chicago at the time. It attracted everyone from industrious boat builders to thrill seekers like Sam Patch, a daredevil who became famous and ultimately died leaping from the waterfalls. But Rochester exported more than just goods. It exported revolution. In the mid-1800s, the city became a hotbed for social change. Abolition. Frederick Douglass made his home here, publishing his anti-slavery newspaper, The North Star, and helping guide enslaved people to freedom via the Underground Railroad. Suffrage. The legendary Susan B. Anthony lived here, fighting for women's right to vote and even getting arrested here for daring to cast a ballot. Spiritualism. The Fox sisters stirred up a national frenzy with their spiritualist seances. As the Civil War era passed, the city faced new challenges, including a devastating flood in 1865. The economy began to shift. The wheat mills slowly gave way to massive seed companies and nurseries, earning the city its second, more floral nickname. But the biggest pivot was toward technology. In the late 1800s, innovators like Bausch and Lomb began perfecting optics. Then, a bank clerk named George Eastman quit his job to perfect a little invention called the Kodak camera. By 1892, the Eastman Kodak Company was born, and Rochester became the image city. Later, Xerox would follow, cementing the region's reputation for imaging technology. The early 1900s were a time of massive expansion. The city built a subway system right inside the old canal bed. The famous garbage plate, a chaotic culinary masterpiece, was invented. Philanthropy, from industrial titans like Eastman, funded world-class music schools and hospitals. However, the mid-century brought hard changes. After peaking in population around 1950, the city followed the national trend of suburban sprawl. The subway was buried to make way for highways, and racial tensions boiled over into the civil unrest of 1964. Yet, despite the economic hardships and the decline of the big manufacturing giants, Rochester refused to fold. The city turned its attention to education, medicine, and smaller tech startups. Today, when you walk through neighborhoods like Browncroft or stand on the Broad Street Bridge looking at the river, you see a complex legacy. It is a place that has survived ice ages, floods, economic shifts, and social upheavals. Rochester is a city that proves that places, like people, can reinvent themselves. Whether you call it the Flower City, or the Image City, it remains a place built on the power of rushing water and resilience. Thanks for joining me on this look back at Rochester. If you're ever in town, dig a little deeper at the local historical society. There's always more to the story. Catch you in the next one.